I really leveraged my LinkedIn. I'd been doing business all over the country and I didn't have a lot of relationships in Chicago because I hadn't lived here in Chicago forever. So I reached out to everybody on LinkedIn and said, here's what I'm doing now. I've pivoted, but not really, because real estate's about relationships and then project management. That's the way I describe it to people. So I sent out messages to everybody in LinkedIn, and one of the attorneys I was already connected to in the area sent it to an attorney in her office and said, you need to talk to her. And he picked up the phone and called me and said, can I take you out? And we have coffee, right? But mostly I just want to get to know him as a person and say, is this a good relationship? Can we work together? Do we have the same kind of ideas and the same goals? Shortly after that, he opened his own office and he's been my attorney ever since. I know that when I refer him, if we need him on a Sunday afternoon, he's picking up the phone because it's me. So that's worked out really well. He's been a good partner, but he's also been a good mentor. And he sees me the same way. You have to build those relationships though.
You are listening to the number one real estate podcast in the world. We talk with real estate professionals. Wow, Vikram, all across the world about their wins, losses, lessons, stories help you win in your local market today. My name's Cody from Sheridan Street. I'm with the Vikram Deal of the Real Estate Sales Academy. Vikram, you have a dog in the background. You have a nice pool. Like, where are you? Are you at a resort, bro? Like anyone that's listening on iTunes or Spotify, man, like you need to go to YouTube right now. And you need to get some clarity around, Vikram moved into the Grand Hyatt Resort. It looks that way.
Casa de la Diol, bro.
Casa de Campa de yeah. What's happening, man?
This is Pop's house right here. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. I need to come visit,
bro. It's you're leaving Ojai so fast.
I know.
You could always reschedule your trip and come to Bakersfield for a few days and hang out, do some wellness stuff, and get some good, actual, authentic Indian food from Mama Diol. And
yeah, that actually sounds wonderful.
Actually, you know what, man? You should check your flight. There's only 7 bedrooms here, maybe 8. I don't know. There's not enough rooms here for 2 people.
Casa del Diol.
Casa de Diol. What's good
exciting?
With you, bro?
Yeah, well, you start.
We'll start with you.
Okay,
I always start. You start.
Things are good, man. We're just rocking and rolling here. Just
your best month ever last month.
Yeah. Just
I guess over 2 months ago.
So over here, being the board guy, no big deal.
Okay, Jeremy Miner.
Yeah, no, things are good. Yeah, we're rocking and rolling. We're hiring a bunch of appointment setters.
Let's talk about that real quick. Yeah. Let's talk about, because I'm working with a lot of teams right now. You're working with a lot of teams, and obviously, when I work with people individually or in our group program, it's always the same thing. Actually, Cathy referred one of her friends from her company. That's how cool. we got kind of connected even more. So she referred Edwin.
Oh, sweet.
And he's just such a stud. When you're, this might lean into her processes that she's going to talk about. But when you're bringing on people, and we'll introduce you in a second, Cathy, but when you're bringing on people, Cody, now, because we talked about this in December, because we both brought on a bunch of people, and then a lot of those people we brought on didn't make it. Yeah. And what did you do? Because one of your guys is just doing an absolutely phenomenal job. What did you do, and how did you change your thought process around hiring and onboarding?
So, especially with appointment setters, you got to kind of hire 3 in order to keep 1. And that's just that's what you got to hire at least 3 in order to bring on 1. So, we built out an entire training module because I need to leverage more of my time. So they have training modules they need to go through prior to starting. If they want access to my leads, they have to do a successful role play with me now. They have to get through the role play. They have to get through my objections that I throw at them before they get access to my leads. And then the third thing that I'm doing now, so obviously they go through the module. The modules take probably, a couple hours in order to go through. 6 to 8 hours, I think. It's pretty minimal. It's not a whole lot. But then they have to, we do obviously daily role plays with all of our appointment setters. Yep. What I've done in the beginning is I give them a maximum of 5 conversations they can have in a day. And if they don't set at least 1 appointment from those 5 conversations, they shut themselves off for the day.
Your minimum standard is 5 conversations, no appointment, stop making calls for that day until you go back and get some sort of an approval from Daddy Cody.
Yeah. I don't want them to burn.
We should actually do we should actually do a whole podcast on this one.
Yeah, we 100% will. But yeah, that's kind of what we're up to. What are you up to though? Like let's keep it quick and then let's interview.
Yeah. Well, I think what we'll do is we'll do a podcast on our onboarding processes because we're both on the same page with how to onboard. And you guys, like when you hire an agent, the number one reason why agents fail is because they don't have a good onboarding system.
Totally.
And so we have to think, why do people come to us as team leaders? Why do people come to our brokerages? Why do they come to our organization? Whether you if you're with Real like I am, why are they going to join me? It's because they want more deals. And if you can't provide them those deals, then they don't have what their expectations were. So,
well, people make the mistake of thinking that it's agents ultimately. Well, agents just want more leads. It's like
they don't want leads.
You can give agents as many leads as you want. If they can't close them, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be upset with you at the fact that they're not closing the leads because they're going to tell you that the leads suck. It's like there's a mindset component in the very beginning, but there's also a skill component that is super, super important to onboarding any agent, any appointment setter, any ISA. It's super, super important. But
it's not. Nobody wants leads. Everybody wants sales. The leads are what we think we need. But really, that's not what it is. Everybody needs sales training, and then they need lead training, and then they have success. But the problem with real estate is that people come in as agents instead of as setters, and so they don't have the right infrastructure. It's like somebody coming in as a doctor doing open heart surgery. You wouldn't hire that person, right? And if we start to think of things like that, right? Like if we actually start to think of things, like how did my dad get to this level of a house? Well, he didn't do it in his first 5 years. It took him 20 years, and then he got this, right? Like it wasn't, so I was listening to a guy named Myron this morning, and we'll talk about this with Cathy, but he said the reason why people fail is because they're looking to sell. If you're looking to sell, you always fail. So that's what we're just training our clients on right now inside of the academy is how do you play the long game with skills? And when you think the long game, you know what actually happens, which is crazy? And this is going to tie in with our call today. When you think the long game, prepare yourself better so that when you're in the short game, you actually get more wins. But when you're prepared for only the short game, you never have the longevity. And that's why you fail. So if you guys prepare to be in this relationship with people for 12 or 24 months before they actually transact with you, you'll be shocked at how many people want to take action sooner.
Yeah, 100%. So it is a good opportunity for us to intro our guests. We have Cathy Yanda with us here from Illinois. What were the two spots? You're for Oak Park and River Forest, Marine Corps background, really excited to jam because as soon as I read the Marine Corps stuff before, I have a fundamental belief with real estate team leads with, just successful agents that there's a element of discipline. And, I would love to kind of get into that, especially with your Marine Corps background and you helping first responders, but to kind of give people an opportunity to kind of know a little bit more about you. Can you give us kind of the 60-second Cliff Notes version on who Cathy is and kind of just give it to us quick. And then we can just jump into kind of trying to provide some value to the real estate market in today's landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're right, Cody. I was in a Marine Corps. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. Once a Marine, you're always a Marine. So I served 8 years, was stationed in Southern California all year, 8 years, taught electronics. Then I, got a couple of degrees and moved over to public health. Ended up working with state and local as well as national, so federal public health at CDC for the Centers for Disease Control in the U.S. And then did some consulting work in infectious disease where I traveled all over most of the country and decided that traveling, being on a plane 7 out of 8 weeks was a little bit exhausting after a few years. And actually dove into real estate because that was always my plan. So I've been doing real estate. My office is in Oak Park, River Forest areas, but that's bumps right up to Chicago. So I'm really a Chicago agent. Chicago, close west suburbs, and so, southern suburbs. So yeah.
I was going to say, for the people who don't know you, where is these fancy named places at Chicagoland? So let's jump into it. Super excited to have you. We've kind of been friends online for a while and friends here and there. And super excited to have you on. I believe that you come from the servant heart and mindset, because you're always like, oh my God, Vic, I got to introduce this person to you. Oh my God, Vic, this person needs your help. Oh my God, can you have a conversation with this person? Oh my God, I was talking to this person. What, right? Like, you're always thinking about other people, right? So you have that servant, that kind of that go-giver mindset, always trying to help other people. And how do you feel like in this market, right? 2024, for most agents, it was one of their hardest years ever, right? Most agents got into the business when the market was good. So there's very few, I don't know, we don't talk to that many that have 10 plus years in the industry. So most people got in, even if you had 10 years in the industry, you got it in 2014, that was still a relatively okay market, right? 2016 was a good market. 2018 was a better market. 2020, 21 was even a better market. 2022, all of a sudden, the frying pan, whack, right into the face. It's like the Tom and Jerry movies where, Tom was a cat, Jerry was, I don't remember, but it's just like whack right there. And and a lot of agents just got smacked. And a lot of agents, were working on their brand colors, like stuff that doesn't actually move the needle. And you have the insight of like, no, if you focus on helping others, then the universe helps me. How are you generating business like right now?
My business has remained pretty steady. Last year was actually a good year for me. I make sure that, the people that I know that, I'm in real estate. This is a business. This isn't a hobby. It's not part-time, it's full-time, and you're either all in or it's a hobby, right?
Right.
So I make sure that the people that I've worked with in the past who purchased homes or sold their homes, they remember that. Everybody gets multiple touches a month from me. They get small gifts every month. They also get home valuations that are automatic, and they know they can send me a message. I got a message this morning from a previous client who's, become a friend, and he's like, so is now a good time for me to sell? And he owns multiple properties. So I said, I'll get back to you after this and we're going to talk, because it is a great time to sell.
I want to touch on a couple of things. I want to touch on a couple of things real quick. And I know Cody's probably picked up on a couple of things. One is, the first thing, you guys, they are not past clients. They are previous clients, right? Like little language, 2 millimeter shifts in your language, one word here, one word there, inside of your presentation, inside of how you talk about people, make an amazing impact on how you think about it. They are not your past clients. If I don't talk to Cody for 30 days, I don't go, oh man, he was my past best friend. I guess I got to go re-engage with Cody. It's like, no, he's my boy. I'm like going to talk the same smack to him 30 days after, or I did 2 days ago, right? They're always your clients if you choose to keep them. So that's one thing. They're not past, they're previous. And the second thing is because you say, oh, they're my client, they're just a previous client, right? The small little tick in the brain, the psychology, you have multiple touch points.
Yeah.
Could you share a couple of your touch points with the audience on like what you're doing? Because a lot of people, here's what they say to me, Kathy, and I know they say it to Cody too. What do we say to them when we call them back? We haven't talked to them in 6 months. We haven't talked to them in a year. We haven't talked to. I said, well, if you don't talk to them today, it's going to be 2 years, and that's not going to be any easier. So what do you say to somebody? Because let's say maybe you accidentally, forgot about Cody and Andrea, and you didn't touch base with them for 9 months. Oh, 9 long months. Now she's pregnant. You know what happens in 9 months, Cody?
Well, never know.
I'm just saying. So now what happens, Kathy? How do you start this weird conversation with your person that you haven't talked to since closing day?
Vikram, there isn't a person I haven't talked to since closing day.
Well, help me out, Kathy. Well, help me out then. What do you, how are you staying in flow with them? Like, what do you say 2 weeks after? What do you say 4 weeks after?
So everybody gets it. I always do small closing gifts, right? But the biggest closing gift I could give them is just best service. for my team. And that I truly believe that. And I want them to have the best memorable experience so that they remember this is a good experience, not a bad experience. That's important. And then I use a lot of local businesses for things.
I love it.
So their closing gift might be some handmade coffee mugs from a friend of mine who's a potter, right? And they will know, here's his information. If you want some more, if you like what he does, just follow him on Instagram or check him out. He definitely will give you a discount also because he's my friend and he'll do that.
That's
then
cool.
A couple of weeks later, I have a friend who's a baker, right? And he sends cakes all over the country. So I want to, send him a note. I sent him a note and I sent an email actually and say, hey, I'm connecting you with this person. He's going to send you a cake, but you don't have to do this now. You can save that cake for a birthday, a special occasion. You can send it to a friend in another state. We don't care. But here's what he's baking right now. And if you decide you want to do it in 3 or 4 months, he'll let you know what he's doing then too. And it's worked out because both my potter friend and my bakers, they've both gotten repeat clients that way. So I'm helping local businesses.
It's really great.
So as soon as my clients close as well on their new home, or maybe they've just sold a home, they go into a system called Lolo. Have you heard of Lolo? So
no,
Lolo is a company. Yeah, Lolo. So Lolo is a company in the U.S. and I think it's not everywhere in the U.S. yet, but it actually is a great touch point. So what I do is they contract local businesses and then I send my clients something once a month from a local business. They stop into that local business and they redeem the coupon I sent them. And it might be for a candle. It could be for appetizers or hors d'oeuvres, or maybe it's a glass of wine, something every single month.
I just want to, and I sorry to cut you off. I just want to make sure that people understand this, because like you're telling me that you market to the people that have already closed with you. They've already bought from you. You are sending them something every single month. Am I hearing that right?
Every month.
Oh my God, she must be rich. That's got to be so expensive. So Lolo, if I understand this correctly, Lolo goes to local organizations where their company's based. You pay a monthly fee. They say, hey, we have XYZ people. They go out, they get the coupons, they get the things, because what they're doing is they're using you as their marketing platform. So you're not paying for the candle. Lolo's out there hustling, and then you pay Lolo $99 a month, and then Lolo sends it to your list, and you just update your list every time you have a closing. Is that what I'm understanding? You're not spending like $1,600 a month on candles.
No, not at all.
I want candles too. I love candles.
Right.
Only if they're organic.
Put me on your list. Put me on your list.
I'm like, get me on the list. Tony. Like, Vikram's in Medellin, Colombia. Is he a client of ours? Oh yeah, he buys a lot of properties here. Just keep sending him stuff. Like the shipping on that's pretty expensive, Kathy.
Yeah, and the good part is you get to go in and you can choose like between these candles, or one time it was tea. So we went into a tea shop and you could choose the tea that you wanted. So it's very cost effective. Yeah.
And that's basically the process. Lolo, if you're hearing this, you need to sponsor our podcast. Lolo, you pay a monthly service fee, and then they do all the work, and then you look like an absolute awesome human being.
Well, that's true. That's very true. And so they get a touch that way every month. And then I also use the service HomeBot, which you probably know about, right? So they get an updated, valuation of their home every month, and they can go in and update it. They can change the how much they owe on it. So they can do a whole lot of things, but they also send me messages all the time. So like, can you just give me a new CMA, or, because by now they know what a CMA is. So can you just tell it, what's my property worth? Can we sell it?
I was about to say, like, you guys, if you're not educating people properly and utilizing terms that they wouldn't know, like I was talking to I bought a new computer yesterday, right? And I was talking to my girlfriend, and she goes, "What'd you buy?" And I was like, "I bought a Mac 3 Pro M3 Core blah." And she's like, I was like, "Babe, you know what that all is, right?" I was just messing with her. She's like, "What color is it?" Is all I wanted to know. She's like, "What color is it, babe?" It's like, I was like, it's this graphite matte black. She's like, "So it's black?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was doing it because it's funny, because we use terminology that we're comfortable with, but our people aren't. Can we talk about this? Because I know Cody's going to like this conversation. Everything we do has to be process oriented.
It is.
Right? So it's really hard and I know this is Cody's jam because he loves automations, but it's really hard to remember to call Cody and to call Vikram and to call Chris and to call Susan. So inside of your CRM, CRMs are amazing, humans. Do you have like a tag or a workflow that when you click, or your transaction coordinator or your team finishes a file, you deliver the keys, you press a button, and then all of the reminders come up for the next 2 years? So all you have to do is literally show up and just make the activity?
Yes, I do. Yeah. I'm totally in process.
Marines are just, you guys are cheating.
Yes, we are. But processes are important. When I was in the Marine Corps, I taught electronics, and we had what we call turnover folders then. And if we got a new piece of equipment, I might develop the instruction and I would put it into a turnover folder. So day 1, you're doing this. Day 2, you're doing this. This is what you write on the board, the whole bit, right? And then if I was out a day, then whoever was taking my place could just pick it up and they knew what we were on, exactly where to go. Same here. You need those things.
I want to go back to onboarding, and I want to go back to, because you're such a systems oriented person, with your Marine Corps background, like, what do you feel like is lacking in the current industry around onboarding new agents? And like, what do you specifically implement for your business when a new agent comes into your world? How do you kind of operate with them?
We're going to be here for a while.
A
lot of laughing stuff in our industry.
We are, right? So I'm with Beard & Mortar. It's the, probably the oldest local company in the Chicago area. We were here before the Chicago fire, which was, a long time ago, over 165 years. So we have a training program for when new agents come on, but I can tell you it's definitely lacking because it'll tell you what to do, but there's not any real world experience, right? So,
Cassie, I got a link for you.
Right. Yep. I mean, and we have instructors. Our office actually follows up with people and does some more, but I'm like, this isn't real world. And the biggest thing, because people will always reach out and say, I'm thinking about becoming a realtor. And I'm like, yeah, well, let's tell you what it's actually like, right? Because you own a business and you're responsible for everything that happens. So to me, that's important, right? I'm responsible for everything that happens with my client, every person that I recommend for my client. If I recommend an attorney, Illinois is an attorney state. If I recommend an attorney, a home inspector, I'm responsible for their service. And if they don't do a good job, that shows back on me. But people come in thinking they can make a lot of money in real estate, not saying that you can't, but you've got to work to make that money. You can't just sit around and wait on the phone ring. And a lot of people wait on that phone to ring. And I agree with what you were saying earlier. I mean, it's leads, and no leads suck. I mean, you still learn something by following up with all those people. And I've had leads that came in and they never purchased, but they recommended somebody else who might have purchased, or they were selling their home, or they just wanted information. I one who called a couple of weeks ago and they just need a lender. And I'm like, well, I've got one, right? And that lender sends me referrals. So my attorney sends me referrals. You have to have those relationships with people. And when I talk to other agents, they're like, you have an attorney that you meet with? And I'm like, of course I do, right? We meet with and we develop our co-marketing plans, and, we work very well together. And the same thing with my lenders, because they're part of my team. And I don't think that realtors really get the whole, you have to have a team and you have to take those meetings in the beginning in order to develop that team. But you don't practice on your clients. And I think a lot of people practice on their clients. I see that a lot. So it's really mindset, as you were saying, Vikram. Mindset in the beginning is you're running a business, and that business is maybe it's 8 to 5 or it's whatever, but you're going to be working those evenings and weekends in the beginning. And then your skills, you've got to hone some skills.
It's so interesting that, like, a lot of this is common sense, but common sense is always common practice. And the thing is, like, we see agents get into the space all the time, and the level of business acumen is low because they potentially they come from a they were a server before, they came from a corporate career, so they don't really kind of understand, even the corporate career, they don't really understand that, like, your opportunity lies within your ability to build relationships within the community to kind of, it's like they like, I find that agents often struggle because they so focus on the person that's in front of them that they like whether this person is good or this person isn't good, that they forget about the relationship of what can happen if they build a relationship with that person, whether they want to buy, sell real estate or not, that gives them the ability to then go and, get a potential referral. We have a client, Mike, tell a quick story, and then I have a question, kind of follow up to see kind of how you do this. We have a client, Mike, who met with a first-time home buyer for the very first time. He tells me the story. I tell everyone this story whenever they tell me leads are crappy. Met with a first-time home buyer.
Leads are crappy, Cody. Like,
yeah.
We're not ready to. They're not. I only want now buyers and sellers. Don't give me anybody who's not already pre-qualified to buy now.
So Mike sat down with this first-time home buyer. Came through a live transfer that our call center sent. Mike sat down with this girl. She was like 25, 26. And she said on the call, she's like, can I bring my dad to the appointment? He's like, yeah, that's no problem. Bring him to the appointment. We'll sit down and I'll walk you through, how to buy a home in today's market. Sits down with dad, sits down with the daughter. Dad ends up being the largest CEO in the space, in the area that he's in, Ottawa, Canada. Mike is now working because of that. Mike joined a commercial division, real estate company, is now working on the largest deal he's ever worked on in his life. It's millions and millions and millions of dollars of commission over the next 2 to 3 years, 4 years, 5 years on this specific, I think it's 97 or 100 acre property. And that came from a first time home buyer that introduced him to,
that was 12 months out.
12 months out. Largest deal. And Mike's this conversation, your belief that all conversion happens in conversation literally changed my life. And I share this with you and I share this with everyone listening because we become so short-sighted. And I'm curious, my question for you, Kathy, is because you've built these relationships, looking back at, maybe let's back up 10 years ago. How did you go about building that first relationship with that first attorney, that first business owner? What did that process look like? Was it a mindset shift that needed to happen in the beginning? Or why did you even decide, coming from the Marine Corps, that you were going to make relationships a priority?
So I've only been doing real estate 6.5 years, so we can't back up 10, right? But close enough. When I first got into real estate, I really leveraged my LinkedIn profile because I'd been doing business all over the country and I didn't have a lot of relationships in Chicago because I hadn't lived here in Chicago forever. So I reached out to everybody in LinkedIn and said, here's what I'm doing now. I've pivoted, but not really because, as you know, real estate's about relationships and then project management. That's the way I describe it to people, right? Once you have a transaction, then it's really about managing that project, that transaction. So I sent out messages to everybody in LinkedIn, and one of the attorneys I was already connected to in the area sent it to an attorney in her office and said, you need to talk to her. And he picked up the phone and called me and said, can I take you out? And we have coffee, right? We met for coffee and we went through questions like I had for him and that he had for me. But mostly I just want to get to know him as a person and say, is this a good relationship? Can we work together? Do we have the same kind of ideas and the same goals? Shortly after that, he opened his own office and he's been my attorney ever since. I do work with other attorneys, but I know that when I refer him, if we need him on a Sunday afternoon, he's picking up the phone because it's me. He knows that it's not just some random phone call. The same with lenders. Best lenders that I've worked with are the ones that he's referred to me. So that's worked out really well. He's been a good partner, but he's also been a good mentor. And he sees me the same way. I'm a good partner to him and also a good mentor in a lot of other things. It's you have to build those relationships though. The same with home inspectors or anybody else that you have on your team. My transaction coordinator used to manage my office, my entire real estate office. So now she manages our transactions and she's a rock star, but she knows how I do business a little bit differently than most people. So she tweaks the stuff that she sends out a little bit differently than she does for other people in the office. Yeah.
Totally.
You guys, good systems, right? Good systems. And here's a great thing. You don't got to make it perfect out the gate, right? So many people are trying to make everything perfect. You don't need to have everything done. And here's how easy a system is. Get a Google Doc, right? Get a Google Doc and just spend the next 15 minutes, right? Just hit pause right now and just spend the next 15 minutes and write down everything you do pre, during, and post, right? And then put that like Google Doc, it is a link inside of your, right? As a link inside of your notes on your phone. And like, it's so easy to just have even just a note, right? Like buyers, sellers, closing, post-closing. And every time you hear a good idea, you just be like, hey, Siri, add this to the note. Siri pops up and she's like, oh, I'm listening to you. Like, not right now, Siri. And you just add that to your note. And then when you go home, right, part of your end-of-day process is, right, so you should have a start-of-day process, and your start-of-day process should not be spending 3 hours in the MLS. Your start-of-day process should be like role-playing, skill building, right, cleaning up a little bit of your list of who you're going to call. And then your first thing in the morning is you make your calls, you do your income-producing activities so that you book your appointments for the afternoon. It's really, yes, time management's really simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And you have a start of business, you have an end of business. Now, in multiple offers, your end of business might go a little longer, and that's okay. But then the next day, you might wake up a little bit later and start a little bit later. Like, we have to learn to be adjusting to the market that we're in. But your end-of-day process is, hey, go through my notes. Oh, I added 4 things. I totally forgot. I was listening to Kathy. I was listening to Cody. I was listening to the RE Agent podcast, cheap plug. And I got 3 great nuggets that I threw in my notes. Oh my God, I got to add those quick, super easy to my process. You guys, and what happens is over the next 12 months, your system becomes an insane, bulletproof, tried, true, and tested process. And what that happens is your level of confidence goes 10x higher. Yeah. Right? Like Kathy's so confident when she closes a deal that her people are going to be massaged and nurtured for the every month for the ever, that she doesn't have any problem picking up the phone and calling them because she's like, oh, hey, Cody, it's Kathy. Oh, Kathy, oh my God. And here's the first thing they probably say. I got the gift you sent me and we went to the candle store and oh my God, the candles are amazing. And then my husband and I decided to go out and get a little coffee afterwards. There was a coffee shop right there that was insane. Oh my God, Kathy, you're so amazing. Like, how did you even think about that? And you're like, oh, I was just sitting in the shower one day drinking some champagne. You guys, we overcomplicate things because we want to feel like we're important. Yeah. But the simplicity of it all makes her business so incredibly successful that she looks like a rock star to her people, but she's actually working a lot less than most people. But she spent the time over the last 6 years writing things down, adding. You should even consider you guys have to listen. Like, this is part of conscious listening. My transaction manager, I've trained to do things a little differently. So I bet you created a process sheet and you're like, hey, Sally, when you do this, do that. When you send it to this people, I want to just tweak a little bit because you're studying the marketplace and you're like, my people like this a little bit more than that.
Yeah, we tweaked the emails. We did those things, and Vikram, going back to kind of what you were saying, is when you're developing those processes, leverage AI. I use AI a lot. But I can put that into AI and say, okay, here's my process and spit out a checklist and it will, right? It's like, okay, here's all your bullet points and it's done. And I just drop it back into a spreadsheet and we go. Help me tweak things. I use AI quite a bit for processes and tweaking and a lot of other things. So I use ChatGPT. I also use Gemini. I use some of the others too, but yeah.
If you're not leveraging AI, leveraging automation, leveraging the ability to kind of do more with your time, like it's one of those things that we tell, agents, we tell teams, like this, generally teams get it, but like single agents, like one of the best things you can do early on is like invest into, hiring somebody to come in to help you build it, build out your processes with you, and then start to automate the things that you're doing manually. It's like one of the best pieces of advice. I did it really early on in our business, literally within the first year. I'm like, we got to figure out our onboarding process, but I don't know how to, in the first year of business, I didn't know how to build out the automations like I did now. Yeah. So I went in to hire somebody to help me build out those automations so I could do more with my time. But
and your automations, like real quick, because I want to tap on this again, you guys, Cody's stuff, Cathy's stuff, my stuff, it's always evolving and changing a little bit. Like remember, when you're driving a car down the road, you're not just, even if you're going straight, you're still steering right and left because the wind blows left, the wind blows right. There's a little bit of a divot in the road. There's a pothole in there. There's a tire, like, oh, somebody cut me off. I got to slow down, right? You're always course correcting. And you have to remember that in your business, it's not about creating perfection. It's creating good, and then good becomes better, and then better becomes great, and then great becomes exceptional. And the time that it takes to do that is the experience with the transactions and the people.
Another thing I would piggyback on what you'd said with the transactions and the people is also, what I have downtime, what I explain to new agents and anybody who will listen is I jump on a webinar, right? Or I'll jump on a podcast and watch something that you're doing and say, okay, well, how can I better my business by seeing what other people are doing? Those top agents in the country, I follow those because I want to know what they're doing. It may not take everything that they're saying and, rip off and duplicate it, but maybe it's going to help me tweak that buyer's presentation or the listing presentation, or maybe it's just a couple of words that really make a difference in, tweaking the words. Like you were saying earlier, Victor, it's like, I don't have any past clients because they're all clients. They're still clients, right? They're people in my sphere, they're my circle. I want to treat them special because they trusted me with the biggest transaction that they're ever going to do. And the next one that they're going to do, or their friends that are going to do. Yeah.
And I don't like the words rip off and duplicate because that makes me feel slimy. But from like my NLP training days, it's not ripping off and duplicating. You're modeling success. Yeah. You're just modeling success. And if somebody puts something out in the world, everybody's copying and modeling, right? Like everybody looks at, right? Cody and I talk to each other and I'm like, oh, Cody's picking up on my jokes. And Cody's like, oh, Vic's picking up on my emails, right? We're not copying each other because I can't say it exactly how he does and he can't do it exactly, but we model other people and we learn. We don't just learn. Like, you guys, that's the biggest downfall in the real estate entrepreneurial world, is that we think we have to do everything on our own. That's old programming. That's old programming. The new programming is, I want to model the successful people as fast as I can so I can grow to be where I want to be for as long as I can.
Bingo.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Modeling it, but also making it your own.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, guys, we have to wrap up here. This has been a ton of fun. It's been really insightful to hear, kind of what you're doing, Cathy, in order to kind of really provide a massive amount of value back to your clients, to your team, to the people that kind of come into your ecosystem. Say, for example, somebody wants to reach out to you. They want to have a conversation. Maybe it's an agent-to-agent referral. Maybe it's they want to learn a little bit more about what you're doing and model kind of like, and learn a little bit more about the back-end process that you've implemented in your business in order to get repeat and referral. Where's the best place that we can send them to have a conversation with you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, or they can text me or call at 773-315-7005. And I think I mentioned earlier, Cody, that putting together a book for veterans or to help them figure out how to buy a home that's a lot easier than what you find online. Right? And it's really going to be small, but it goes to the editor next week. What? Hit me up and I'll send y'all a copy.
Do you have a name of the book yet?
I do, but I don't want to tell you yet. We might tweak that a little bit. But you'll know. You'll be the first I let know.
You'll know.
Right?
You'll know, Victor. You'll know. Hey, yeah, Cathy, I want to say thank you for joining us today. And I want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of the RE Agent Podcast. We'll see you soon.